Good morning, curling fans. Thank you, Emil, for alerting us that there was no sound. Hopefully now that's sorted that out. Indeed, the technical gremlins, I think they overslept this morning. So yeah, I've just spent the past 15 minutes cheerfully chitter-chattering to myself. But yeah, my name's Lorna Rettig. We are now all watching together the featured game this morning from the Curling Masters here in Champéry that features Team Retornaz from Italy and Team Daniel Magnusson from Sweden. So I'll try to remember what I've been jabbering on about for the past first end and try to repeat myself a bit. Lovely shot there, you can see from Italy. So yeah, you can see from the scoreboard there that Team Retornaz, they have hammer in this last end. And we can see 2 stones still to come. Last shot coming up from Daniel Magnusson. Italy looking handy in this end though. We need a good shot here from Magnusson. And he didn't quite get that roll. Now I saw them having a look at those outside stones earlier on in this end. So yeah, Joel will be looking to play pretty much the same here. He's just played this shot, so he'll feel fairly comfortable with it. And then you can see there's a red shot right at the front and the yellow shot just to the right of the screen as we see it next to Simone. And I think it's a red, but a little bit hard to tell from our angle. So I believe this is a hit for a nice solid score of 2 in the first end for Retornaz. You can see the size of the 2 Italian boys. They're super sweepers. They're both really tall with big long levers. No trouble for Joel there, so that's definitely 1. And let's see if everyone's agreed. I think it's 2. And we'll see when they put the score up. And if you've been following the WCT Tour this season, you'll know that I'm a big fan of Team Retornaz, and I was a little bit sad that we haven't had a chance to watch much of their play this season so far. So I'm very happy that I get the early shift this morning and I finally get to watch one of my favourite teams. Team Retornaz are the current European bronze medalists. So that was from last year. Of course, no Europeans this year. That's been cancelled also due to the health situation. So yeah, Joel's team will remain the European bronze medalists until next year at least. So really experienced team that we see out there. They've experimented a little bit with their lineup over the years. These 4 guys have played together a long time, but yeah, they've experimented with different people throwing fourth, different people skipping, and they've settled on this lineup, which is very much working for them. And that's a nice opportunity to say hello to the teams. So for Team Italy, Team Retornaz, we have 4th thrower and skip is Joel Retornaz. 3rd thrower is Amos Mozana. 2nd thrower is Sebastiano Arman, sorry. And lead thrower is Simone Gonin. And you can see that's the team on the photo on the right of our screen. Team Magnusson, we don't have a photo for them, sadly, my apologies. But 4th thrower and skip is Daniel Magnusson. 3rd thrower is Rasmus Israelsson. 2nd thrower Robin Alberg. And lead thrower Anton Ragosa. So you can imagine what they look like. And we get to see the first stone in the second end from Anton Ragosa. So I'm telepathically asking someone to put up the score so that we know if that was a 1 or a 2 score for Retornaz. Wouldn't really change the strategy in this end. It would just put a little bit more pressure on Magnusson if it was 2 points rather than 1. There we are. Telepathic asking for the score has worked, and we confirm that that was indeed 2. So nice stones to start here from vice-skip Simone Gonin. Look at that, really nicely set up. Already putting pressure on Magnusson. And we've got full house of games out there this morning, so I can tell you who else is playing. On sheet A, we have Van Dorp versus Hösli. On sheet B, we have De Cruz versus Marietta. Here on sheet 3, we're watching Retornaz against Magnusson. And on sheet 4, we have Totzek against Easily. So we do still have some teams from international here. We've 2 teams from Sweden. We have Joel's Italian team, Team Totzek from Germany, and Jaap van Dorp from Netherlands. So we do have some international representation, and we really appreciate all the athletes putting themselves out there, traveling to this competition and making themselves available. Strange times at the moment, as everybody knows, so we really appreciate the athletes putting themselves out there and supporting this competition. We're still missing seeing some of our favourite teams from countries like Scotland and Norway, who really just can't travel at the moment. And I saw in the chat a little bit earlier that, yeah, indeed we had a couple of last-minute withdrawals, unfortunately due to the health situation. So Team Niemann from Sweden, they were due to play in the competition and really had to sadly pull out at the last minute because of health. And also Team Stick from Poland, they were also due to play and also sadly had to withdraw at the last minute because of the health restrictions and the overall situation. So that's a shame. We were looking forward to watching those teams as well. So shout out to Team Stick and Niemann for supporting the competition, but unfortunately we're not getting to see them play this time. This is day 2 of the Curling Masters here in Champéry. If you had to work yesterday or something, if you have to do one of those job things, then I recommend you look up the video vault for the games that we watched yesterday here in Champéry. We had some real crackers yesterday. We watched Schwaller versus Schnider. We watched Van Dorp versus De Cruz. And we watched Edin versus Jungen. That was the streamed games yesterday. And I highly recommend that you take a look at them. There was some interesting stuff going on yesterday. And I'll be interested to see what the teams have picked up from yesterday. So we talked a lot yesterday about these different ice conditions in the arena. The competitions that they've played at, that we've been watching so far on the WCT Tour, they've all been in the curling hall. And the ice conditions in the arena here is just different. It's much more open. There's different air currents swirling around a bit. Great sweep there from Italy. You can see that squeaked over by molecules. Thank you, sweepers. But yeah, yesterday we could see that there were several of the teams. You can see that the stones just passed over that line there. It has to be, all of the stone has to be over all of the line. So you couldn't really get more separation on your guards than that. One's millimeters over the line and one is millimeters from the house. But yeah, yesterday we saw a lot of the teams getting caught out by these ice conditions. It's just different compared with playing in the curling hall. There's a nice shot from Magnusson. Just moving it out the forefoot. I think that's about the best he could have done. He couldn't throw much more weight at that. but he's really moved that out of the forefoot and given himself a bit of space there. However, that does give Italy now the chance to just remove that yellow. I think they can see a good half of that. It sounds like they're throwing that nice careful takeout weight, gentle takeout weight, maybe sort of hack weight or so. So first throw in the second end for Amos Mazzana. And what was happening yesterday was even the experienced teams, the likes of European bronze medalists here, Retornaz, and in fact we have all the European medalists here. Edin's team are the reigning European champions. Yannick Schwaller's team are the current vice champions, silver medal winners. And Joe Retornaz's team here are the current European bronze medalists. And all three of those teams, they were, well, and other experienced teams out there, a lot of them were really getting caught out by the sights. There's a big curl at the end. And we were seeing a lot of the teams and, you know, very experienced players, very talented players, just not quite getting to grips with that different way of the ice running. And we saw a lot of stones just catching the edge of guards and not quite curling round behind. And I wonder if we'll see the teams adjusted to that a little bit more today. But this is an arena ice that's typical at the highest level, the World Championship or Europeans or Asia Pacs or so. They would typically be held in an arena, and this is championship ice. The teams, they need to learn it, they need to get used to it. We're in the second end of our featured game this morning. Team Joe Retornaz of Italy against Team Magnusson of Sweden. A nice solid start of 2 points for Retornaz in the first end. And Team Magnusson struggling a little bit to build the second end to try to get 2 points back. Not really forcing the Italians to do anything very fancy. They're not quite finding the roles behind cover yet, Team Magnusson. You can catch up with yesterday's games on this YouTube channel, the WCT TV channel on YouTube. You can also catch up with WCT on their nice snazzy new website. You will find that at worldcurlingtour.org. And it keeps being improved week on week, even real time sometimes, and you will find all the line scores from yesterday. Take a look, there's a few interesting results out there. And you can even follow the line scores live from the games this morning. So plenty of information on that website, worldcurlingtour.org. You will find all the information and scores, etc. from the men's tour, women's tour, mixed doubles tour, juniors and wheelchair events. Loads of information there, and you can also keep up with World Curling Tour on Facebook and on Instagram. So if your club where you live is maybe not able to open, or maybe you can only play curling under rather reduced circumstances, then plenty of curling out there to enjoy from the World Curling Tour. First shot here of this end for Italian skip and fourth thrower Joe Retornaz. They don't have last shot in this second end. But they're fairly comfortable, I think, in this second end. You can see there's no yellows, there's no Swedish shots lying around, giving Retornaz the chance to put one right close to the centre, which he does. Not quite fully hidden, but there's definitely space for Magnusson to get there. but he can't throw too much weight at it. He needs to curl, so yeah, indeed, I think he's looking to just push back that Italian stone. I don't think he can get rid of it. But big competition this weekend, this Champéry event. This is the 10th edition. And it's a big payday if you win this competition. The team finishing first, they will get a nice check for 8,000 Swiss francs. The team finishing second will get 5,000 francs. Third and fourth get 3,000 francs each. And the qualifiers for the quarterfinals get 1,750 each. So well worth qualifying for this evening's quarterfinal games at 7:30. And big shout out to our sponsors who make that happen. This looks nice from Daniel Magnusson. That's lovely. I don't think he could have done much more with that. He couldn't play much more weight or he wouldn't have got the curl. And you can see he's just pushed that yellow back, he's pushed that red back. You can see another angle here. There you can see that fierce curl right at the end. He makes it around that front guard by nothing at all. And still makes it to the face. So that really nice shot there from Daniel Magnusson. Giving themselves a chance to pick up points in this end. So Joel could do a similar kind of shot. Again, I'm not sure he can get rid of this yellow, so either way there's going to be a yellow hanging around. Let's see where it ends up. That was Magnusson's idea, that he wants this yellow to be hanging around still after Retornaz's shot, that they may have a chance at scoring 2 points. So last shot here in the second end for Team Retornaz. Again, that careful weight. He wants to move the yellow, but he needs it to curl. And he is able to move the yellow out completely, so no chance for 2 points. Nice shot, Joel. And Magnusson has no choice. He's facing at least 3 reds. All of them are behind tee, so he won't be panicking. And this should be a very makeable shot for someone of Magnusson's caliber. There you can just see Sebastiano Arman sweeping to try to encourage the stone to curl a wee bit, to try to catch more of it. This should be very makeable for Daniel Magnusson, but only scoring 1 point in this end. Yeah, he needs to be a bit careful. He doesn't want to throw it too hard, but he's got that stone to catch it at the back, which it does. So nice save there from Magnusson. Drawing against 3 is never comfortable. And 1 point to Team Magnusson. See the teams, both of them, having a bit of a team committee meeting. See that much more these days, and my colleague Brian Gray was telling us yesterday that he really likes to see that as a coach, that everyone's really aligned with what are we doing in this end, what are we trying to do, you know, what's plan B if we have to bail out of the end a bit. Okay, so all aligned in this third end. And first throw from Anton Ragoza. Again, you can see how much that's curling. Look how much that's curling away from the centre line. They wanted that pretty much on the centre, and they didn't really want it in the house. So not Anton's best throw. Because it's touching the house, is not protected by that free guard zone. And you can see Joe Retornaz doesn't hesitate to remove that. First throw in this third end for lead and vice skip Simona Gonin from Italy. No trouble there. Yeah, they may have been looking to keep that red in play, but not quite this time. So trying the other handle now, Magnusson. There's maybe a bit less curl this way.
Helst inte för fort. Ja, bra linje, bra linje. Nära. Jättebra linje. Kan inte. Grym linje.
This is a better effort. You can see that's much closer to the centre line. It's just touching that centre line, I think. Maybe that change of handle made a nice difference there. This is the first round of D2 here in the Curling Masters in Champéry. You can catch up on yesterday's games here on the YouTube channel as well as on worldcurlingtour.org. And also you can subscribe to WCT TV here on YouTube so that you're always getting reminders when your game is about to start. And we've got plenty more curling to come. We've got this and 2 more rounds in the round robin this afternoon. Then the top 8 teams in the competition will qualify for the quarterfinals this evening. That's 7:30 European. The winners of that will play the semi-final at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. And the final will be at 12:30 European tomorrow, and we shall be watching all of those. It's a slightly reduced field, as we've discussed, because of the health and travel restrictions. I think typically this competition would have about 24 teams, I think it is. And this year we have 4 teams of 4, so 16 in total. But it's still great to see so many teams here. I think the teams are really happy that they're able to play somehow. And we were also saying yesterday that this slightly fluid situation, there are opportunities there as well. So we've seen some Swiss teams that we maybe don't always get to see, so they've had opportunities to fill in the space in some of these competitions when our international friends maybe weren't able to travel. And we've certainly seen that none of these up-and-coming Swiss teams are here to make up the numbers. They've said, great, I will take a place in this competition, and we are here to win. So yeah, definitely some opportunities, definitely some silver linings in the COVID cloud. So some younger teams, younger Swiss teams having the opportunity to show us what they can do and really justifying their position in this competition. I think we've had some great performances from the up-and-coming teams. So Team Magnusson, again, just not quite finding their line and weight this morning. Just one game for these two groups yesterday. And Retornaz, they played Team Totzek, the German team, and they won 8-3. And Team Magnusson played Team Easily, the young Swiss team, and they lost actually 7-3. So yeah, Team Magnusson not quite firing at the moment this weekend. Team Totzek are playing Team Easily on the neighbouring right. You can just see the names over there on the right of our screen. And we'll take a look at what's going on in the other games at the end of this end. But you can also keep up with the scores yourself. They're updated real time. You can look at that in worldcurlingtour.org and follow the links to this competition. That's nicer from Magnusson. Now they've got 2 Swedish stones in the house. But unfortunately for them, they don't have last shot in this end. And they are giving Joe Retornaz the chance to hit and stick here. Remove that yellow, stick the shooter, and he will have 2 reds. But far away from each other. But there we can see that's curling again. So it's not going to stick around there. And in fact, it's not going to stick around at all, I don't think. Oh, no, it does.
Okay. We spoke a little bit about the stones yesterday. These stones are pretty much, some of the sets are brand new. They were used for the, I think, the World Junior Curling Championships. So they've only been used for that one competition, and some of the sets were not needed, so they hadn't been used at all. And yeah, sometimes it looks like the stones are not as springy. They don't have as much action as we may be used to, the teams may be used to. And that just means that, yeah, when you hit a stone, like we saw there, that they dig in a little bit, they don't spring out of the house as easily. Magnusson, I think, trying to remove that pair of reds, so they ended up close together, but he's just got the one of them, and red is still lying 1, so Joel can just ignore that yellow in front if he wants. And yeah, he's just pointing out that's the shot, we're lying 1. So that's exactly it. His 2 choices are he can either remove the yellow and roll in. That might be the easier way of doing it, depending on how you feel about draw weight. So this is maybe for third thrower Amos Mozana. This might be an easier way of achieving the outcome of lying 2 reds at the end of this shot. There we are, nicely done. It just depends how you feel about your draw weight. He could have just done a draw to the other side of the house. But if he had ever missed that, then Magnusson would quickly be removing that Italian stone. So yeah, maybe that was the best call. You can see now they're easily lying 2, and they have last shot in this end. So Italy again looking nice and comfortable. Magnusson, this double is definitely makeable, but the stones are quite far apart. There's one right at the front of the house, one right at the back. He would love to get rid of both of them. So big weight coming. No, just the one. That didn't seem to curl much at all. He needed to hit much more of that front stone. So now Joel will just draw the other side of the house, put as much distance between those reds as he can, make it very difficult for Daniel Magnusson to remove 2 shots. That's why I like watching this Italian team. They rarely seem to get in a pickle. They just play nice, straightforward, simple stuff, give themselves the chance. They play with a really nice confidence.
So the two big Italian boys ready to sweep. They're with it right away, but they seem pretty happy with it. They're keeping it nice and clean, but they're not panicking. Doesn't seem to need too much help. This way looks lovely. And you can see that's one of those situations where they were happy for this red to end up behind T. Typically, of course, we'd rather have the stones in front of T because then we can more control the front of the house and use those stones to generate offense. But in this instance, they were happy. You could see the Italian sweepers were still sweeping beyond the T line, and that's because that makes the double takeout now more difficult. If the stones were absolutely flat, so if there was no angle between them, then there wouldn't be a double takeout, and Daniel Magnusson would only be able to remove one. This double is possible, but the closer those stones are to being parallel, the harder it is. So I will be very impressed if Daniel Magnusson can get the pair of them. He's not far off. Great effort, but you can see how hard that was with that very flat angle, and that's why the Italian sweepers were happy to sweep that red past T-line. So job done from Italy. They've now given themselves the perfect chance to get 2 points. This is exactly the kind of shot you want. In Scotland we would call this a find the paint shot, and that means simply that, yeah, all Joel has to do is just find any part of the painted circles and they will score 2. So this is your ideal shot if you're skip, fourth thrower, like Joe Retornaz here. This is exactly the kind of shot you want to look at to make your final points. So again, the sweepers, they don't seem to be panicking. They're keeping it nice and clean. You can see them looking up all the time. But I think no trouble here. Lovely end from Italy, well worked. And no trouble there, 2 points. You can see what's happening when Italy's had last shot. They've been generating 2 points. And Team Magnusson, they only managed to get 1 point with last shot. So Team Retornaz is moving away a little bit. Magnusson doesn't want to let them out of sight. So while they're having a alignment on the fourth end coming up, I can update you on what's going on the other sheets. Let's have a look across. So on sheet A, we have defending champions Jaap van Dorp against Team Hösli. So it looks like they're just finishing their third end. And the score is currently 2-1 to defending champions Van Dorp from Netherlands. Then on sheet B, you can see we have Team Pieter De Cruz against Team Marietta. And you can see that's 9-2 to De Cruz. So that's a tough day out for Team Marietta. But I just want to update everyone that Team Marietta, they're a local team, and we're really grateful to them for putting themselves out there. They filled in the space to make the draw 16 teams when, yeah, we had, as I said, a couple of last-minute withdrawals, but just due to the health situation. So, yeah, not such a difficult day at the office for Pieter De Cruz, but we're very grateful to Team Marietta for putting themselves out there. So, yeah, bit of an easy game for De Cruz. Then in our featured game, hopefully someone will put up the score soon, and we know that that's 4-1 to Retornaz. And our final game out there this morning, that's Team Totzek against Team Easily. Team Totzek from Germany, and Easily, the team from Switzerland. And they're all standing right in front of the scoreboard, but I can tell you that Team Easily are leading 2-1 after 2 ends. It looks like they're also just finishing up their third end. So some tight games out there, as we'd expect.
Amos primo. 13-6. Ramasi che inchioda. Vai, vai. Hard, hard, hard. Finishla. Go, go, go.
Another really tidy start from Italy. Now, how does Team Magnus? So they've got their corner guard, and again they've got a couple of options here. They could just ignore those raids and draw a stone round behind their corner guard that's in a really nice position. They could do it this way, so they're going to play that gentle takeout weight again and roll in behind guard, so remove the raid and roll in behind cover. As we said, depending on how you're throwing, how you feel about your own stones, some people may prefer to draw, some people may prefer this hit and roll. But that curl's caught them out again. It's over curled. And he neither removes the raids nor gets in behind cover. And this is, unfortunately, this is a bit the story of Team Magnusson's game at the moment, that they're just not quite finding their right angles and not quite getting to grips with that curl. So first shot in this fourth end for second thrower Sebastiano Amand.
Aspetta, aspetta. No, abbiamo spazio. 13,80. No. Oh. Beh, un po'.
Exactly the right tactics here from Italy. They're just keep cluttering up the house with raid shots, and if Daniel Magnusson wants to score any, at some point he has to do something about those raid stones. It looks like they're maybe switching up the tactic a little bit, and maybe second thrower Robin Alberg being asked to do more like a freeze onto those raids in the middle. That will do the job as well. We saw yesterday how nicely that tactic can work if you get this yellow just in front of the reds. Or this might have been the tactic as well. That's not a, that maybe looks like a miss, but that's not a daft idea, because that yellow in behind those reds is quite well protected actually. There you can see, not easy to get to that yellow and chip it out. You can only see about half of it, so actually going around the back of everything, that's not a daft idea, because what Daniel Magnusson could do is now play the double takeout on those reds, and then he would have two yellows in. Well, this is the right idea from Italy. That's the only stone that can hurt them, is that yellow guard. So yeah, Magnusson, as we see, he's quite happy with that yellow tucked in behind the reds there. It is behind T, but as we said, you can only see about half of it, not so easy to remove. And if he can now get a second yellow in, then this is looking a little bit better for scoring in this end. We can see Team Retornaz really making very efficient use of when they have the hammer, when they have the last shot. They've scored 2 points both times they've had hammer. So I'm not sure if Magnusson was wanting to replace that guard or if that shot was more aiming for the house. But either way, Retornaz will simply remove it. First throw in this end from Amos Mazzana. You can see how tall Amos is. He's got a huge throw on him. No trouble there. Clearing that guard and clearing his own stone out. I don't see any advantage to persisting with throwing up a guard here. I think it's time to use the stones in the house. They've got that yellow tucked in behind. That could definitely become useful. Or you can do it this way, as we said, so that yellow's nice and safe behind there. You can just play the straight double takeout here. And you should be lying 2 yellows at the end of it, but the line for this will be very important. Again, we've seen a few shots over curl and then spin out, and that would be a pity. They have the opportunity to lie 2 yellows after this shot. As of my mistake, I don't think they're going for the hit after all, but they are definitely going to try to get 2 yellows in the house, I think. They're maybe saving that takeout on the reds for later, but yeah, of course that's coming up hell of a short. I'm not sure that's even going to get over. Yes, it is. But that doesn't really help them, I must say. Even if they wanted a guard, that's not very useful. Yeah, but
possiamo giocare su questa. Se vogliamo spingere possiamo anche giocare qua.
And that now means that Joel can switch up his tactics a little bit, and he could just indeed just drop something out front. So I think Magnusson may have lost the chance to bring that back yellow into play. We can say thank you to our sponsors. You can see them on the screen there. They make this a very attractive competition for our international guests. So this is a gutsy call. Looks like he's asking Amos to hit half or all he can see of that back red and squirt it back onto the yellow and remove it that way. He's not far off. Yep, very nice. So yeah, indeed, I think Magnusson, they lost the chance to do something with that yellow. So they can try to use that super long guard. Or maybe they're now trying to play a yellow just in front of those reds, just to keep that yellow a bit safe. So good morning, Fergus in the chat. He was asking after Team Edin, and yes, indeed, they're playing in the next round. They had a very interesting game yesterday against Team Jungen. That's on that was on the stream yesterday afternoon. So you can find that in the video vault on WCT TV. And yeah, I think that's about the best that Daniel Magnusson could do at this point. He has to try to use the reds in the house to protect his yellows. You can see that yellow wide open from the front, but there's those 2 reds behind it, and Magnusson will be hoping that the Italians don't quite get their angles right and leave the yellow hanging around. And conversely, the Italians know they're going to have to sacrifice one, if not both, of their own reds to remove this yellow. So this will be a big throw, yeah. No holding back with that weight. And look, he's picked it clean out. Very nice. No choice for Daniel Magnusson. He has to persist with this tactic. He wants to play a freeze right on top of that red. Very similar to what they just played before. That's third thrower and vice skip Rasmus Israelsson holding the brush. And this time he'll want to not leave any space between this yellow coming and the red stone he's aiming for. You can see if he just leaves a little bit of space, then Retornaz can chip it clean out. Whereas if he's right on top of the red, if he's really touching the red, that makes Joel's life much more difficult. So they'll be really looking to lock this onto the red. But again, that it's curled more. So a similar shot for Joel. Not at all a bad effort from Daniel Magnusson. The freeze is the most difficult shot in curling because you have to be exactly perfect with line and weight. So not a bad effort from Daniel. There's plenty could go wrong if Retornaz gets his angles wrong on this shot. They've given themselves a chance. But if Joel just plays the same shot he just played, and it looks like that's what he's going for, that will again just pick out that yellow cleanly.
Proviamo a rimanere lì. Però sai che no, se riusciamo anche a farglielo difficile. No, infatti. L'importante è non prenderla interna. 10.
So it sounds like a 10-second stone. That means the stone will take 10 seconds between the hog lines, so that's a controlled takeout, not as big as the stone last time, I don't think. And yeah, Joel was saying important was to not get to the inside of that stone, and he was nowhere near it. Otherwise, he could have jammed that yellow back onto the reds. That's what Magnusson was hoping for. So it looks like Magnusson going for the hit here. He's got no choice. He has to score. There's no possibility for a blank, I don't think. Needs to hit and stick. But yeah, I've seen a few shots going down this path, and they don't curl actually, and it sticks out. And ooh, I heard a brush slapping the ice there. And yeah, that could be a costly miss for Magnusson there. Maybe a more controlled weight. That was quite a big weight he threw at that. And they really needed to be accurate with their line on that shot to make sure the yellow hung around. And I think they might live to regret that one. I think that was too much weight to throw. I think a more controlled weight like Joel threw, more like a 10-second stone. And then they could really have used the sweepers a bit more to control where the yellow ended up. He didn't need to remove the reds. So a steal of 1 for Team Retornaz from Italy. And they're looking very comfortable out there. Like I said, I like they have a nice confidence, this team. They always look nice and comfortable and enjoying the game out there. And they are 5-1 ahead at this halfway point on day 2 of the Curling Masters in Champéry. They won yesterday morning, or yesterday lunchtime it was. Joe Retornaz's team. They had an 8-3 win over Team Todzek, the German team. So if they win this, they've put themselves in a great position to qualify for the quarterfinal this evening. I would definitely expect to see Joel's team in the late stages of this competition. If you're Team Magnusson, you really want to start stringing 8 good shots together here. A little more consistency with the the weight in line, but again, you can see they're not still quite getting to grips with it. So that's curled a little bit too much, and it's a little bit too long. There's space that you can draw behind it, but Italy would fairly easily be able to get to that space as well. It's a little bit too long, that guard, and I'm sure we will see Simone Gonin start off as he always does. I think he hasn't really missed a shot so far this game. I think actually none of the Italians have been missing much. There we are. Lovely start again from Simone Gonin. Magnusson going for the double guard. That's an interesting idea. Asking Antonio Rigosa for similar idea, but a bit of separation at the end, so he'll want the stone a bit closer to the house. I think they're pretty much where they want it. This is nice from Antonio Rigosa. That's a nice start. That's a bit better position there. Now here we are again seeing the difference between 4 and 5 rock free guard zone. We saw that several times yesterday. In the old days with 4 rock free guard zone, Retornaz would start removing those yellow guards. But in the new rule, we have to wait 1 stone longer. He's not allowed yet to remove guards from the free guard zone. So we now see this more aggressive call. And we will see a centre guard from second thrower Sebastiano Arman. You can see really strong sweepers, the Italian team, all of them. Makes a big difference at this level. And that's very nicely set up. You can see those 3 reds pretty nicely lined up. And again, if Magnusson wants to score anything this end, at some point he has to do something about those reds on the centre. So that's 1 out of the way. But I fancy the Italians will just start removing the yellow guards as well, yep. So they've waited for the 5 rock free guard zone to finish, and now they can start removing the yellows. So they don't really want to play another guard, so Sebastiano Arman here, he played a really nice guard with his first shot, but Italy's +4, they're 5-1 up, they don't need to be aggressive, and the more sensible call is indeed to remove the yellow guards and make sure that Magnusson doesn't have the good chance to start building an end. So this is quite a familiar scenario we're looking at now. There's 1 corner guard and a couple of yellows on the centre line. Looks like Joel's had an early start this morning. He's yawning his head off today. This is a nice call. Let's use that corner guard. We threw it up for a reason. Like we said, you could do this 2 ways. You can do the direct draw, which is what I think they're doing, or you could do the hit and roll. But good for Daniel Magnusson, who's recognised that we're maybe not quite finding our roll accurately today, and maybe this is the easier way of getting a shot safely in behind corner guard. But that's come up a bit short. And yeah, Retornaz, I think they can get rid of both of these potentially. Yeah, he thinks so too. We'll see another screamer, I think, from Amos. Exactly as Joel pointed. That's exactly what happened. Lovely shot there from Amos. So no more guards. And yeah, now Magnusson has to switch up the tactics. He now has to use the stones in the house. And the idea will be again to place yellow stones in front of those reds. Keep stones in play. There's another nice shot of Amos Mazzano cleaning out both the yellow guards and his own stone. Lovely shot from him. But yeah, now Magnusson has to play with the red stones here already in the house. And like we saw yesterday, he doesn't really want to remove these reds. He wants to keep the reds in play so that the reds would be behind T, and then it would be a bit harder for the Italians to remove the yellow shots. So right idea, but as you can see, shouldn't be any trouble for Amos to remove that open yellow.
Whoa, 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 clean, clean, sit, hard, no roll, okay.
And we just saw Amos throw a huge weight at the first one to remove both the guards, but he doesn't need that big weight for just removing that one shot, and you can see they were much more careful. And that's good learning as well for folks who are watching, that when he needs it, when he wanted to remove the two guards, we saw Amos throw a huge weight at it, which he's also very accurate with, but they wanted to hang around with that second shot of his, so he brought the weight right down, and it was a much more controlled throw. I think some of the younger teams, they still maybe throw sometimes too much weight, and then you don't have so much control over the roll. And Magnusson persisting with this tactic, and they're not far off. You can see they've got the right idea, but they're not quite finding safe positions for the yellows at the end, but they're doing exactly the right thing. They need to work with the red stones that are in the house. Now, if you're Italy, you don't want stones hanging around in the house, and I imagine that Joel will happily hit and roll out this yellow. He doesn't particularly want his red hanging around anymore. That would just give Magnusson something to use. Oh, he does hang around actually. So we're basically the same position as we were 2 stones ago, and Daniel Magnusson will be trying exactly the same idea. So I think what he's proposing is to hit and roll behind the red in the front ring. So yeah, as we're looking at it, he wants to hit that red next to Rasmus Israelsson's brush and then roll in behind the red in the front ring, I think. He's got it this time, I think. Great effort from Magnusson. He's having to play some really tough shots out there. Now, to be fair, I would expect Joel to make this shot as well, but I think, yeah, Magnusson doesn't have much choice. He needs to play with what's in front of him. And, yeah, I don't think he could have done much better there. I think that was a good idea. This isn't such a difficult shot for Joe Retornaz, but Magnusson's given himself the chance, and that's all he can do.
Alla fine ha girato un po' la tua, era 9 secondi. Hard. Roll. Rama.
Yeah, just like that. So, as we said, that's not such a difficult shot for someone of Joel's standard, but that was the best Daniel Magnusson could do.
Speravo di rollare un po' di più con la nostra. Sì.
Forse la più facile addirittura era
Piena.
piena
E rollare con la là.
And now,
Poi va bene, forse la quinta.
relatively straightforward shot for Magnusson. As we said, they really need to start building up some points here, Magnusson, so they'll be a bit disappointed that they're just making this shot for one. So, easy shot there for Daniel Magnusson to pick up 1 point, but they were really working hard to try to generate more than one. So they have a bit of an uphill struggle, Team Magnusson here, but that's 1 point on the board, and that makes the score 5-2 after 5 ends. And looking in the chat, people are wondering what's going on with Team Edin. So they certainly did have a interesting day yesterday, but their first game they beat. It was Jan Hess's team. They beat them 7-0, so they had a blowout in their favour, let's say, in the morning, and then they themselves had a bit of a blowout in the afternoon. So yeah, Edin's on 1 win in the morning and 1 loss in the afternoon. They will play in the next round against Team Hurleman. And I would not like to be Team Hurleman. I imagine Niklas Edin's team will be out to show what they can do. So let's check what's going on the other games on this draw. Over on sheet A, we have defending champions, Van Dorp against Team Hösli from Switzerland. Oh, thank you. Walter has conveniently moved out of the way. And we can see that that's a score of 5-1 currently to defending champions Van Dorp. They had a great game yesterday against our next contenders, Peter De Cruz. I recommend you look up that game in the video vault. And next door we have Peter De Cruz playing Team Maniata. Team Maniata, a local team who put themselves into the draw when we had a couple of last-minute withdrawals due to COVID and health situation and travel restrictions. So thank you, Team Maniata. They are getting a bit of a kicking from Team De Cruz, but we really appreciate them putting themselves out there. Our featured game, as we said, the score is 5-2 to Team Retornaz. And finally, we have Team Totzek are playing Team Easily. And they seem to be constantly standing in front of the scoreboard, but I can tell you that Team Easily is winning 4-2. Kind of a similar game going on over there. When Team Easily have the hammer, they're making 2 points when they've got last shot. There, you can kind of piece it together from the little snippets of the scoreboard that you're seeing there. But yeah, when Team Easily has last shot, they're making efficient use of it. They're getting 2s when they have last shot, and they are leading 4-2, whereas Totzek are only picking up 1s. But it looks like Totzek's setting up this the 5th end nicely. So we'll come back to that later. And meanwhile, in our featured game, that was a score of 1 point to Magnusson in the 5th end, and we are now here in the 6th end of our game this morning. Retornaz and Italy, they have last shot again. They're plus 3 points, so they don't need to be greedy here. But already they are lying 2 behind cover. Another bright start from Simone Gonen. We're getting used to seeing him playing 100% with both his shots. So just to confirm, we're discussing in the chat the Team Edin's journey so far. So indeed they won 7-0 yesterday morning against Team Jan Hess, and they were won to death by Team Jungen in the afternoon, and Jungen did not have last stone the whole game. So Edin had last shot every single end, and they lost a steal of 1 in 5 ends and shook hands after 6, or fist bumped after 6, since we're not shaking hands. So Edin is very definitely on 1 big win and 1 big loss, and I would not like to be Team Hurleman going out to face them today. I imagine Team Edin's, those guys will be, they very much have a point to prove this morning. Guards not helping Team Italy. As I said, they're +3. They don't really need guards in play. Their priority is to just not get into trouble here. They don't need to score big points in this end. And they know that Daniel Magnusson, he'll be doing the reverse. He wants to keep stones in play. He wants guards. He wants Italy to start getting into a bit of a pickle. And they will just be doing the opposite. Italy don't need to push hard for a 2 in this end because they're already +3 points. So that's an interesting question from Michaela in the chat, asking how much does Team Retornaz's experience factor into this game? Indeed, in terms of experience, they have a lot more experience than this young Magnusson team. I think it certainly does, Michaela. I think I agree with you that, as I've said, I enjoy watching Joe's team because I think they play with a really nice, happy confidence. And that comes from, you know, being very successful at the highest level. That team knows how to win. They're the current bronze medalists at European level. So they have every right to go out there feeling confident and so on. And I think especially on this difficult ice, as we've seen, several of the teams, including these big teams, several of the teams have been getting a wee bit caught out by the strong curl and really curling at the end. So I do think it comes into play, Michaela, in terms of perhaps of confidence, especially on this difficult ice. So Joel's team, they've played on arena ice a lot of times at the highest levels, so they're maybe a little bit quicker to adjust to that and to get used to it. Now, this is exactly what Magnusson wants. So well played this end at the moment from Team Magnusson. This is exactly what they were looking for. That Team Italy starts to get into a bit of a mess. And that's exactly what's happened. When you've got all those guards out front, there's always possibilities for stones squirting back and catching wrong angles. And that's exactly what happens here. Let's watch again. So that catches that stone in the house. And you can see a big sigh from Amos Mazzana, thinking, oh gosh, we caught exactly the wrong angle there. And that's exactly what Magnusson's been hoping for. Hopefully that will give their confidence a little boost. So this is much better stuff from Team Magnusson. I said I think their main problem was they're not really stringing 8 good shots together in one end, whereas Italy are. And we're seeing the results for them. Very consistent, this team. So Italy's got no choice but to persist with trying to remove these guards, trying not to get into a mess. And Sweden set up quite nicely here. they've got that yellow that sprung its way into the forefoot. They'll take it. And we could say that that was luck, but to some extent it wasn't really. That's what Magnusson was doing. He was setting up these guards and stones out front and trying to get Italy to make a mistake. So that tactic was successful. They got the mistake from Italy. And let's see what they can do with it. So it may be too little too late, but never say never in a game of curling at this level.
Apriamo, se no puoi giocarla diretta, eh? Possiamo giocarla diretta, se no possiamo aprire di nuovo. Però dovremo far contatto o con quella o con questa. Ja, och antagligen därför det är lite rakare också. In. Si.
We've got lots more curling for you to enjoy today. That certainly cleared things up a bit. Another pile driver from Amos Mazzana. But yeah, we've got lots more curling for you to enjoy today. Our next round is all Swiss affair. It's Klossner against Schnider. That's two young up-and-coming Swiss teams, and I think that'll be a really nice battle, actually. Both of those teams, Schnider and Klossner, both of them have had some wins against the big teams already this season. So both of those teams playing with good confidence. So I think that would be well worth watching at 12:30 European. At 3:30 European, we have the final round robin game of this Champéry Masters, and that is Peter De Cruz against Hösli. And I think that will be another interesting game as well. Hösli team, also young Swiss team, very experienced at junior level. They've won medals at Junior Worlds, and they will not be afraid of playing Peter De Cruz, and I think that could also be a game well worth watching, and myself and Brian Gray will be back to watch that one together. Then later on this evening at 7:30, we're in the quarterfinals. The top 8 teams from our 16 starters will qualify for the quarterfinals at 7:30 European. The team in first place, so all 16 teams will be ranked after the round robin. Team in top place, first place, will play team in 8th place, 2 plays 7, 3 plays 6, and 4 plays 5. Then tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock European, we have the semi-finals, and at 12:30 the final. So lots of great curling to look forward to. We've seen some perhaps unexpected results already. I don't want to say unexpected because there's no dummy teams here at this competition. But I'm sure certainly still some upsets still to come.
Vicina, vicina.
Nice shot, Joel. And look, they really cleared out all the danger there. Yeah, that's great stones from Italy. There was a whole bunch of granite out front, and now there isn't. So great shots from Italy there, getting rid of the danger. Watch this again from Joe Retornaz. Lovely double takeout. But again, Magnusson's given themselves a chance in this end. They don't have last shot. Their backs against the wall a little bit in this game, but they've given themselves a chance in the 6th end. He's got the chance now to put up a guard. And Joel will have a bit of a more complicated shot. Nice effort, Magnusson. There you can see that's, what, 2/3, 3/4 covered? Good shot there from Daniel Magnusson. He's given himself a chance to steal here. Again, someone of Joe's caliber, he looks at a lot of these kind of shots. But Magnusson's given himself a chance to steal, and that's all they can do. So this is probably the toughest shot that Joe's had a look at. And actually they've changed their mind. They've decided they can't really see enough of that yellow to risk going around on the clockwise handle. So going to the other side of the house on the counterclockwise handle and just doing a straight draw. And as we see very often in this game, that's what Joel's there for. He will have good confidence to make a draw into the 4-foot circle. But he has to be pretty accurate. That yellow's fully in, almost fully in the 4-foot, but no trouble for the very experienced Joel Retornaz. He covers the 1-foot circle even, that white circle right in the middle. This is a great performance from this Italian team. They're really making big strides towards the quarterfinals here in this game. So a score of 1 to the Italians there. That brings the score in this game to 6-2 after 6 ends.
No sweeping, not necessary.
Can't count on sweepers on this ice.
Just call them off the sheet. You don't have to sweep this. I got it.
Sounds like Daniel Magnusson is
Yeah.
congratulating Joel on a lovely last shot there when he says, yeah, you didn't even need to sweep. You just got it right to the centre without even needing sweepers. And that's a nice thing for Daniel to say, that they're having a bit of a tough time out there. And that's nice to hear him congratulate his opponent on a lovely shot. So definitely worth Magnusson's team staying out there. They're behind in this game. I think probably this game is beyond them now. I think they're not looking likely to get 4 points back in 2 ends against the Italians, who are really firing really well this morning. But definitely worth staying out there one more end. Throw some more shots on this arena ice. And later on this afternoon, Team Magnusson, they will play Team Totzek, the German team. Team Totzek having a real back and forward battle next door against the Swiss team Hösli. And Team Totzek picked up a big 3 in that 5th end. We could see them setting up very nicely. And indeed, they got their reward for that. So Team Totzek scoring 3 in the 5th end to bring their score to 5-4. They're now leading against Team Hösli. And we're seeing quite a lot of Team Totzek in this season as well. They've really worked hard to make themselves available at these competitions. They had a really strong finish in the Baden Masters right at the beginning of the season. They finished in joint 3rd place. They're certainly throwing a lot of stones, Team Totzek, and I'm sure that will be helping them. We'll start generating more wins. Lovely start from Team Magnusson then, well done. They've got their 2 corner guards there. Italy can't remove either guard in the 5 rock free guard zone environment.
Linea buona.
So Italy forced to play a more aggressive stone now.
Vamos giù. Man hookar ju dit dem fint. Giù a bomba.
And let's hope that Team Magnusson can make the best use of this 5 rock free guard zone now. So let's see, this is absolutely classic setup. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stones in play. The free guard zone is finished. So they were definitely talking about removing and indeed hanging in there that yellow stone. You see, and they've done it. That's a great shot, Team Magnusson. Well done. You could see the 2 sweepers there just trying to encourage that stone to spin its way back into the house, and it did. We'll get a nice view of it again. You can see there it is. It's really spinning, and you can see Anton Ragosa sweeping in the house, trying to encourage that stone to spin its way back in. So this is a bright start in the 7th end for Team Magnusson. That's 1 corner guard going. But Daniel Magnusson still has a corner guard, and he's got that lovely little shot hanging on right at the edge there. And I think this is the right call. He now wants to use that corner guard. Italy are going to remove it next time anyway, but he now may as well use that corner guard that they've thrown up. And then again, they're definitely giving themselves the chance to generate offense, Team Magnusson. And that's, again, overcurled a little bit, but not a terrible result. I think there is a double takeout on those guards. Joe wants to remove all of the Swedish guards. And I do think there's a double takeout possible here. We get to see another big old throw from Amos Mazzana. But a corner guard's always dangerous. And he doesn't quite get both of them this time, so there is a guard still there. I would use that corner guard, yep. That's the stone that Italy wants to remove from play, so you go ahead and use it. Michaela in the chat, you're quite right. The Team Totzek that's here from Germany, it is the younger version, let's say, so it's the same Sixten Totzek, busy man, but indeed his men's team, the Mark Muskatovits, and the other guys in that team, indeed, they are not here this weekend, and it's the younger team. Lovely shot. Well done, Team Magnusson. They're really giving themselves a chance this end. It's good to see smiles still out there. And that's exactly what they need. So Italy's going to remove the open shot. They don't want these yellows to start building up. And I hope that's given Team Magnusson a bit of a confidence boost, getting that lovely shot in behind the corner guard. So I'm sure Italy will remove this without problem and get a nice roll towards the middle as well. And now, having put that lovely yellow, got a great angle here. That's nice and safe. You can see that yellow behind its guard. And now Daniel Magnusson has to start getting rid of the reds. He has to start attacking the red shots, because you can see he's got 3 reds that he has to do something about before that yellow will be able to count. So nice setup here. That's a nice effort. Didn't quite roll as far as they wanted, but you can see yellow is open, but if Italy curls over too much, then they might squirt it back onto the red. And again, that's exactly what Sweden's hoping for. All they can do is set it up to be as difficult as possible. They will be hoping then that Joel either throws the stone a bit wide or that the stone sits out a little bit wider. And we saw that work for them in the previous end. You can see Simona going in, holding the brush pretty tight to the stone to make sure that the stone doesn't stay wide, that it doesn't catch the wrong angle. But we've seen this line stay out a little bit. Yeah, I'm not sure you need to sweep that. I think you're happy if that curls a little bit, which it does. Now, there are options here. I'm just wondering if any of those options risk the red catching that lovely yellow behind the corner guard, but I don't think so. So I think he can get rid of both of these reds with this shot. I think there's definitely a double takeout there. And presumably they think it doesn't jam onto the yellow on the wing. Let's see. And then Magnusson team will be set up quite nicely to try to get 2 points here. He's not removed 2 reds, and that might cost them their chance at 2 now. That was important that they removed 2 of those reds, because I'm sure Joe Retornaz is not going to leave them any chance for a triple takeout.
Gioco velocità simile a quella che ho appena giocato.
Ok, 8,5.
Ja, må kicka sin stand-in nu.
Kanske vinnande kan sätta
Det var bättre att spela 3 än 2.
Wow, mai!
Important that this red hangs around, which it does. Lovely shot from Joel. You can see again 3 red stones lying. If Daniel Magnusson wants to score 2 points, he needs to make a triple takeout. And you can see the difference. If that red had rolled out, Daniel Magnusson would just be looking at those 2 yellows closer to the middle, and that's a very makeable double takeout, and he could easily have got 2. And that really shows us how important it was for that red just on the left of our screen, that's half in the 8-foot, half in the 12-foot. It was really important that that red hung around and try to make sure there isn't a triple takeout. They're certainly having a look at it and wondering where they need to hit this front stone to remove all 3. He's got no choice, he has to go for it.
önskar att den jammar istället. Spelar nog...
Vad fanns det?
Ja, precis. Nära halv, men då bör man vara med på den bakre, tror jag. Man spelar lite hårdare.
So good luck, Daniel. Could do with making this.
Japp. Nej. Nej. Med på bakre.
Oh, great effort. But it is one more red, and I'm not sure, though, it's worth playing on for an 8th end.
Thanks.
Indeed, that's enough.
Thank you. Good luck. Thanks. Good luck.
So fist bumps all round.
Thanks. Good luck.
Really strong performance from Retornaz's team from Italy. So tough going for Team Magnusson out there. They're doing the right thing. They're giving themselves chances. But this ice is difficult, as we've seen. A lot of the more experienced teams also getting caught out with the curl on this ice. But it looks like Team Magnusson are still feeling fairly comfortable. And they will have one more game against Team Todzek this afternoon, the young German team. I can just briefly update you on how their game is going. So as we said, a real back and forward battle going on over there between Team Todzek and Team Easily. And Easily got a 2 back in the 6th end, and that's put them back in the lead. And that score is now 6-5 to Team Easily. They're in their 7th end. And it looks like they've just started their 7th end, so I don't have too much to tell you about that. But yeah, interesting game going on over there. So Magnusson will be playing Team Todzek later on this afternoon. The next game here on the stream will be Team Klosner against Team Schnider, 2 young, strong Swiss teams. They both play with good confidence, so I can highly recommend watching that. I think that will be a really super game. We will be back for commentary to guide us through the later game this afternoon at 3:30 European. That is Team Peter De Cruz against Team Hösli. I think that will be a fun game as well. The Hösli team, very experienced at junior level and won't be scared of facing Peter De Cruz. De Cruz's game already finished this morning, as we saw. They were playing against a local team who put themselves into the draw at the last minute when we had a couple of teams who had to withdraw. So fairly easy morning for Peter De Cruz, but I think they will have quite a tougher test this afternoon. And the last game out on the ice at the moment is the Hösli team, and they are playing last year's champions, Van Dorp. Also, nice close game going on there. It's 6-3 to Van Dorp, so advantage Netherlands, but I've seen this young Hösli team really grind out some wins. They sometimes take the long way, but they work ever so hard and they can really grind out a win. So that'll be a really interesting game to watch, De Cruz against Hösli later on at 3:30. We'll be back for that, and we will certainly be back for the quarterfinals at 7:30 this evening, and tomorrow for the semi and final. So this is us up in the commentary box if you want to know what we look like behind the voice. We'll be back later on today. So thank you everyone for joining us. I hope you enjoyed watching that game, and we'll see you later. Bye for now.